guys. Thanks for being here for another episode of Beers and Bells. This is a very special episode. I am very excited for the awesome crew we've assembled here and some really special guests. We're going to talk about some really cool stuff. And you guys obviously know me. I'm DeMarco. I'm the guy that never shuts the heck up. But got some exciting guests on. We actually have a returning guest, Mr. Derek Chrysler, back for another one. And making his YouTube debut, standing at a nice tall 5'9". But what are you, about $190 now, Mike? Buck 90, $195?
I have no idea.
Mr. Mike Conway. So he's coming back out of retirement to box. So that's right. That's the last thing I heard, right?
Yeah, I'm fighting Mike Tyson next.
You're taking on Mike Tyson. Iron Mike against Iron Mike.
Exactly.
Seriously. So, but yeah, guys. So I want to thank you so much for being here. Want to remind you of the 1,000 subscriber challenge. Basically, once our channel reaches 1,000 subs, we're going to select 5 winners. And those 5 winners are each going to receive 5 free personal training sessions. They're 60 minutes each. It's going to be either in person or virtual, depending on where you live. It's going to be a Strength with Purpose shirt, which we are not wearing today. We're actually repping the DV8 brand today. But it's one of those shirts you guys have seen at the Kettlebell with the Lightning, and then a 3-month customized program that's going to be accessible via a free smartphone app. So super excited. So hit that sub button, hit that like, share it, and let's rock and roll. So, but yeah, guys, let's. I kind of just want to do this kind of fireside chat style. We'll just kind of go around. Obviously, we're going to talk about the DV8 experience, the certification, and just whatever you want to cover. So, Mike, what would you like to say about DV8?
There's a lot to say about DV8. There's
Everybody cracking open a beer?
Oh yeah, it's time to crack it. Time to crack it.
Yes.
Here we go.
Shushma's coming off a bender, so she's going to take it easy.
Shushma shotgunned like 6 beers before we even started recording, so she's good.
That's it? Nice.
Max is about to bark out the window for a minute, so maybe Derek should start.
All right, Derek, take it, man.
All right, well, hold on a moment. Let me pour my beer here. And then,
Oh, there we go.
Look at that pour.
Expert technique. Look at that.
What's that?
this is a Julius.
Oh, so good.
And this is from Treehouse.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Is that your favorite by chance?
It's one of my favorites, yeah.
Yeah, because I think Tim Antonella said that may be his favorite beer of all time.
Yep.
Or one of my clients said that.
It's up there.
It's for beer aficionados. It's up there. And it's
I can't wait to try it.
a huge bomb. Yeah.
It looks delicious. What are you drinking, Sean?
Scenic New England Session IPA. It's from this store down the street from where I live. The
Nice.
603.
603.
There you go, representing.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome, man.
What about you?
I am drinking the Gorilla Radio from Remnant Brewery, so it's a new one I'm trying out. It's
Right up your alley.
yeah, it's really, really good.
Rage Against the Machine.
Rage Against the Machine, baby. So good workout music. What are you drinking, Mike?
I got a Lamplighter Sneaker Wave.
Nice.
What is that?
Love Lamplighter.
It's an IPA. It's like a juice bomb, too. New England style
Oh,
IPA.
yeah.
Yep.
Good stuff.
It's one of my favorite beers I've found recently.
Haven't
And
tried it.
Shushma, what is the alcohol content of your tea? No, nothing. Maybe a little bit.
There we go. Well, she can drink whatever she wants. She can outlift all of us combined. So
Sure.
whatever she wants goes.
Probably because she drinks tea over alcohol.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably.
That's right.
That's the key. Yeah.
The key to it all.
Seriously.
I'm drinking coffee too. So
There we
coffee
go.
and beer.
Double fisting.
It is brews. It's brews, right?
Bruce. That's right. Derek, you're an all-American hero, man. I just want to grow up and be like you one day.
Oh, thank you, DeMarco. Well, just so you want me to start on the DV8 cert?
Yeah, man.
Go over it.
Whatever you want to talk about, man.
I'll just say the best thing I found about taking the cert was the main point was to have an open mind and to try everything out. And I think in the fitness industry, things can be so dogmatic that it was very refreshing to have somebody say, like, test it all out, see what works for you or your student, not necessarily like it has to be this way. Because we're not training in a sport that has rules. I mean, if you're training for like a powerlifting meet, obviously you have to meet the standards, but we're really just having fun lifting weights. So I thought that was my favorite part of the certification, just a good mindset about that. So that's my piece for now, but I'll let everybody go around and we can go on from there. But yeah,
Absolutely.
you want to go, Mike, here?
Let's go, Mike.
Takeaway or
So one of the biggest things I took away from it was it's a lot more than just the movement. Like the biggest thing about DV8 is the community. And like when we were able to, we'd all did the virtual cert. I don't think any of you were in my groups, like maybe rarely, like one time Derek was in my group. But like we would do breakaway groups and smaller groups, and we were always with all these other people helping each other out in different ways. And it was just such a cool community aspect of getting to like meet either people who I've known just through like Instagram or something like that, but actually getting to talk to them. And that was one of the biggest things for me is like everybody in it was had a similar like heart in a way and similar goal. And it was the whole portion on inclusivity and diversity was one of the most important things I've ever seen in the cert. Like I think Justice said like that's never happened in the cert before, at least that any of us have been a part of. And that's in itself going to change how certifications go in the fitness world, as well as, Phil and Pam took the actual kettlebell swing and snatch and everything and changed how that works too. So it's like changing all sides of it, not just the physical movement, but the community aspect.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Let's go, Sean.
I mean, for the sake of not trying to sound too repetitive, I mean, obviously I agree with what Derek and Mike had said so far. And it had been my first interaction with Phil, other than like through Instagram, I guess. So I was really looking forward to that. And, on a cert by cert basis, it's pretty much like everyone's there for the same reason, no matter what organization. It should be to, further your education, sharpen your skills for not only yourself, but mainly your clients. So I knew going into it, it was going to be that. But my expectations were still exceeded, as well as kind of, again, feeling more of that like community aspect, which in my opinion, may be lacking in other certs or just in general. So I think that was definitely one of the biggest differences between, certs I'd taken in the past and then this one. It wasn't like go the whole time of, kind of crushing ourselves for a couple days, which, that's kind of fun at times too. But, we practiced enough. Did the breakaway groups. That was really cool. I don't really think I had anybody. I had Derek once or twice actually, but just seeing different faces and knowing we're all there for the same reason. That was the biggest thing for me is, it didn't feel like a however many 14-hour certification. It kind of flew by in a good way because again, we're all like-minded people, just there for the same reason. So can't wait for the next one. I'll say that much.
If I can piggyback off that real quick. One thing I know that made me think of is there was no competitiveness about this.
Right.
Like certs that we've all done, like there's some aspect of like people trying to show each other up and be like, oh, like I can lift this much and this and that, and either showing off or something like that. But Phil is the most humble person I've ever met, potentially, probably easily. And not a single person was trying to be like, yeah, let me try a heavier weight. Let me do this. Let me do that. Every single person we were all taken back down to ground zero and like, oh, let's relearn how to do this and start fresh like we've never done it before. So I think that was a really cool thing.
Right.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, that goes to the mindset kind of thing of like, it's like, don't even worry about the weight, right? There's no weight standard. So we don't have to worry about how much you can lift. It's how well you do whatever you lift.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that makes a huge difference. Because then you're not chasing a number, you're not chasing a belt, you're chasing technique, which when it comes down to it, is the most important part of learning how to perform an exercise, in my opinion.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that 100%.
Fair.
What do you think, Shushma?
Sushma,
Me, I think it's my first certification in the US. I think you guys all did strong first and stuff. I think this is the first certification where I had practical learning. I did multiple certifications, but it was more like sit and learn and then write an exam at the end of 6 months and then get cleared. This was like completely different exposure for me in my case. And I did practical stuff in India too, but it was more like just learn about the fitness and get out of the certification kind of thing. But here I got like great exposure and I learned like more stuff about how to deal the clients, like don't assume stuff. So everybody belongs in that space, build that community. So I just got to know that fitness is so much more than just lifting weights or losing weight, stuff like that, but just creating like respecting everybody's wishes or like creating that safe space for everybody where everybody can like come down and then have their workout. So, and there was this girl who spoke that don't assume stuff. Like, let's say she goes into the gym and works out, and people say that you have great shape, but the reason she came down was to gain weight, not lose the weight. So the reason, the way she told it, like stuff like that, all that was like so much more for me. So I really enjoyed and had a great experience with the certification.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great points. Yeah. So,
Marco.
I intentionally left myself last because I have trouble. I can't talk. I'm not good at talking. No, I think you guys are all right. I was honestly blown away by how well it ran with it being virtual. I'd done a couple courses with Phil and they were smaller, so it was easier. It was just like 3 or 4 of us doing we did a 1-arm push-up course and a pistol squat course. Freaking awesome. Learned a bunch. And that was awesome. So I was obviously really excited for a longer course like this. It ran really well. The breakout groups were awesome. It was just cool to see people on there that we knew online that haven't met in person, like Jason Pock and Lauren, like Holly and Aaron. It was, I almost felt like I didn't belong. I felt like there were a bunch of celebrities on there. I felt like I showed up to the wrong party. But it was super fun. I think Mike is 100% right. They talked about the inclusivity, in making fitness a safe space, and going into more than just lifting weights and moving, and working out. That's definitely been a big focus for me this year, is on training my body to get really strong and mobile and feel good and all that stuff. But also like reading more stuff, like reading philosophy and just really getting more into the deep nitty gritty, meaning of life type stuff. I definitely find myself more attracted to that kind of discussion versus, what was your latest PR in the gym? Not to say it's not important, but like Derek said, we weren't chasing numbers at the cert, and that was a relief. There was no room for an ego to be there. No one was talking. We weren't talking about numbers. We were just there. It was all about technique. Even Derek, like I did my press test. Prior to taking the test, Sean was training me, and I pressed the double 28s for 5. So I naturally trained with the 24s on test day. I couldn't even squeeze out 3. I could barely do 3 reps with the 28s. And Phil looked at me. He's like, have you been training with 24s? I said, I have. He said, do you want to test with them? I said, if you'll let me. But he was definitely about to tell me to go down to 20s if he felt like I needed to. So, and it would have still, it's the same test. It's still, it's still the same standard. So it's not just about hoisting that much weight. So I just love that aspect of it. I love the community part of it. And I think it's insane. We all did the kettlebell cert with Strong First. Mike and Derek have done multiple certs with them, and they've gotten really into different movements. I thought it was insane that I've been training, swings and get-ups for the last like 3 or 4 years. And we went even deeper into them, and I've learned even more about the movements, like little small minor tweaks. And it's just really cool to go deep in them versus just learning a little bit about everything, kind of taking that Bruce Lee approach and, the 10,000 kicks once versus the 1 kick 10,000 times rule. So I really think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it was also a coaching certification, right? Like it actually gave you a template and a format to coach your students, right?
Oh yeah.
And what to look at, right? And I think that can benefit the new trainer or a veteran trainer, and that speaks volumes to how rich and deep the certification was, right? Obviously, Phil's in the trenches and training many people, all different bodies, all different ages, So that it really shows with that. So.
Yeah, I almost, not didn't forget, but like, I like, to your point, that little checklist you gave us in terms of like start at the feet, and you can probably solve most issues there. Like, I think, I mean, a lot of us probably kind of did it that way anyways, but like thinking from, feet to knees to hips and all that kind of stuff, it's like when you really break it down like that, you may not even make it to the hip before everything's already fixed. So it was cool that like that was one of the main things that he kind of push for in terms of like how to not not revolutionize our coaching, because like I said, a lot of us probably already did that, but it's like he made it simple and but very effective. So simplicity was a big part of that weekend when things don't have to be that complex. So I definitely like love the checklist. I've been using that quite a bit.
Yeah, and I remember from previous certifications, Phil would always talk about fix the keystone, and everything else will kind of fall into place. And it'll save the coach a lot of work. It'll save the student a lot of work. And a lot of times that starts with the feet. So Phil kind of trained me like years ago to first thing, look at the feet. That's going to change your hip hinge. That's going to change your squat. That's going to change everything. And just the way that they laid it all out, like the packet that they gave us was that Phil and Pam put together. That must have taken a very long time. And, there's a lot of detail in it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I read it through after, after we did the cert, and it was mind blowing. It's crazy how there was so much information in there, but it was packaged simply.
Yeah.
You weren't overwhelmed with, you weren't over inundated with everything, but it was very groundbreaking in a lot of ways. Like that, like Sean said, that simple system that's very easy to apply to everyone. No matter what kind of body type you're working with, and it's just, man, they did a great job. I can't say it enough.
Yeah,
I think that's DV8, which is it's super simple and concise. Yet there's so much in that little bit. Like give a little bit, but that little bit is worth so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no unnecessary wording and let's try this drill, let's try this drill, let's try this drill, and like working your way through a checklist of different cues and drills and like, okay, this one didn't work, let's move on to the next one. It's like solving everything so much quicker.
Yeah. It's great, and big shout out to Pam, because those packets were clearly made by her, and there's just so much love. Like she's got so much love, both Phil and Pam. It's just a lot of love went into it, and
Absolutely.
I think that it was just awesome.
So
Absolutely.
Even after the certification is done, we have been practicing posting on Instagram, and Pam and Phil are always active and giving us the suggestions where can we work. If we have some issue with the stuff we learned with the certification, that is really great. So it's not just done and dusted for 2 days. They're still like continuously offering the support and technique tips we need. That is like really, really great for both of them.
That's one thing they both always said is they're always students, and so are we. And so it's a continuing process. It's like we put something up, tag them in it, they respond quick too.
Oh, they're on it, man. They're
very good information.
Very good information. I think what I love the most is that obviously we're all a lot like on the big things. I'll say our values definitely align, on the big, quote unquote big things, but they're definitely, I can tell they're into, like Shishma said, it's not like, okay, cool, you got your cert, now GTFO, see you next time, sign up for the next one. It's very much on building relationships. And obviously as trainers and coaches like us this is our career, this is what we want to do, for life. That's our big focus is on relationships. We want to take care of people, and we don't want it to be a wham bam thank you ma'am. Like we want it to be a long-term process.
It's not about the money or the quick.
No.
Or the letters at the end of your name.
Oh, the alphabet soup.
Yeah, it's more than that, and I really love the kind of the martial arts approach of like when Phil said, I was like, oh my gosh, this is great, because he's like, I want your students at some time to be teachers as well. And that is such a big part, right? Of, you're a student and you're a teacher, and it should always be that way. And your students can teach you.
Mhm.
That's a big part too. So I just really love that approach as well.
Yeah.
Definitely. That reminds me of that cheesy. I always have to reference Roadhouse whenever I got Derek on here because we both love that movie. But it literally reminds me of the line that Sam Elliott drops. He says, "You taught me more than I ever taught you." So there's definitely some truth to that statement. As corny as it is, you know me, I gotta drop a movie reference. But no, if you pay attention, your students and clients will teach you a lot. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think a big thing that they recognize is that not everybody is the same.
Yeah.
And it's not about, okay, you weigh this much, you're a male or you're a female, you need to test with this.
Right.
Or you weigh this much, you need to be able to deadlift X. It's okay, what can you do now? Okay, let's take that and let's improve upon it. And that was the test. The clean and push press test was brutal.
Oh yeah.
But it was it was doable, but there was no I couldn't brute strength my way through it.
Oh no.
No. There was no like cheating through. Like I realized, well, first of all, changing the placement of the bell has changed my snatch completely. And made me realize that like I was brute strengthening my way through some snatch tests and stuff like that, where I was shredding my hands because the bell was coming way too far out. And at some point when you're going like that, you just don't care anymore and you just keep going. But starting the bell behind, it stays so close. It's so much easier on the hands. If you have problems with the hands and snatches and cleans, then you gotta try out this DV8 method because it saves your hands big time.
Absolutely.
And it keeps that bell so close just naturally versus like having to fight your way closer and closer. Like how many drills have we done to keep the clean close and it still slams down. And then like people get bruising here. And yeah, like eventually we figured out like at one point, Derek, you told me you thought my forearm was starting to break a little bit years ago because I was trying to like get my heavy clean and press down. And that's because every single clean was slamming down with a heavy weight. When I do a heavy clean the DV8 way, it's smooth. It's close. There's no slam.
Yeah. You don't have to say anything. You figure it out. There's nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
When it's behind the heels, nowhere to hide. You can't compensate.
Yeah. It just like works every time.
No, you're right about that. Yeah, that's very true. I know everyone kind of indirectly said this, but if you have a different way of saying it or maybe have a different statement on it, I think this would be a cool one. And I'd love everyone to answer this. What is something, either a lesson you took from your DV8 training, leading up to the third and the clean and push press test, or what is an obstacle that you faced on your way to, get it and pass, to, get everything to standard. So Shushma, you go first. Shushma, aka She-Hulk.
I practiced this was something that was tough for me. I practiced with DeMarco like 2-3 months. But in October, I think I felt really sick. I got this GERD and I lost more than 12 lbs. And lifting 12 kg was tough during the test. I tried it like 2 days prior to the test and I couldn't do more than 10 reps. And I was scared literally. I thought like I got a 10 kg bell from DeMarco so that I can do with 10s. But then something was pushing inside my mind that, okay, not 10s, it's going to be like 2 less, you train with 12s. And then on the day I was very scared too. Like I didn't do anything. On the day of the test also, I got sick in the morning. And I just wanted to do with 12s. That was in my mind all the time. So I made like a big noteboard with go slow, you got this, and I kept it in front of me on the wall during the test. Yeah, I already shared the pic also. I was just looking at the thing all through the push press test. And luckily, I just cleared it on the spot. It was tough, but that's what bothered me a lot. The other stuff was after doing all the technique stuff, I thought it's going to be like a warm-up like everybody said, but I was dead by the end of the technique stuff. and push
Oh yeah.
after that.
I think everybody can say that we were smoked after the technique.
Big time. Big
Oh
time.
yeah.
Yeah, I was breathing so heavy. I literally sat down for 2 minutes and took that deep breaths because I couldn't get up after that. And Phil was like, I thought my partner will go later, and Phil was like, Shushma, you go now. I'm like, oh God, I'm gone now. Partner was resting. I was like, I wish I was resting. Okay, I got through that. Yeah.
You got it though.
Yeah, we all did.
Love it.
Yeah, that was my toughest thing during the test.
That's awesome. What about you, Derek?
Interesting. So I feel like my technique went well in terms of like the exercise. For me, and it's actually, and this is why I love it, is the hardest part for me is to wait to watch people move more before I say anything, right? Because the coach in me wants to just like blurt out, do this. But now I have Phil's like, look at authentic movement. Let them figure it out. It's like, so that was actually and is probably the most challenging for me. Is just like just let people move. Let me see what happens after a few sets. So I think that was and I think it's a positive because then it changes the way I coach. So that was probably the hardest thing for me. I also didn't. I chose 24K bells because my 5RM is 28Ks, but I could have maybe pushed it to the 28s for the clean and push press test, but I'm sort of glad I didn't. But now I'm looking forward to next year to testing with the 228s. So I love that you can kind of graduate up if you want.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the other one.
No, that's awesome. Mike, take it away.
So training for the clean and push press. Derek knows very well that my struggle for the past since I became a trainer was my joints all hyperextend a lot. And the clean and push press test is very explosive and fast. Like my knees, this will gross a lot of people out, but my knees go here.
Oh yeah.
Goddamn.
That's my hyperextension.
Gumby, Mike.
Yeah. Yep.
An advantage if I'm a ballerina, but not so much in the strength world because as soon as I hyperextend, like it tweaks my knee and I'm out. Which I think I showed you guys when I attempted like the week before, 2 weeks before, on like number like 10 or 11, I just hyperextension. I'm like, okay, put them down. But it helped me gain a lot of control over my body and find like the most optimal path where like, okay, don't go too far, but explode up. Like still give 100% explosion, but it helped me gain more control. And that's always been tough for me. But also another part was like how I said, you can't power through it. If you go too fast at the beginning, you're smoked at the end. When those weights are just sitting there and you're tired, like you have to control the very beginning as well as the end. Because if you use too much gas at the beginning, you don't have any gas for the last part.
Which is great because it's an endurance test, right? So that it's like that's exactly it.
And it's rooted in GS a bit, which is purely endurance. Which GS is crazy.
Yeah, those guys are nuts.
Impressive things I'm seeing.
The machines.
They are.
And that's up to the open-mindedness, like hard style and GS. Like you should go back and forth between the two modalities of training, right? There's so much we can learn from each kind of school, we'll call it, right? And not one is better than the other.
Yeah. The big thing DV taught me is like, there's no, this is the way. It's this way works for you.
Right.
And let's find which way works for you the best.
Let's go, Sean.
I mean, again, broken record here, but the clean and push press test was definitely the biggest challenge because I, as you all know, I hit 19 on the actual test day. And I lost count, to be honest, but once I put the bells down, I was like, I looked at Phil, I was like, was that 19? And he's like, yep. So we both knew I was going to, get it next time I tried it after a couple days rest. But yeah, it was humbling for sure, because I think we all found this out pretty early. Like, we may have thought that, like, oh, 20 clean and push press, like, that's got to be easier than a snatch test, and then you finally try it and you're like, nope, not even.
Yeah.
No.
So, like, we all
Different.
found that out real soon. And I'd probably say, before going for like the actual cert, the first time around for kettlebells with the snatch test, like, I had probably done 5 or 6 of them already. So I was like, I was definitely more confident going into that, no matter what the weekend looked like before actually doing it. Whereas with the push press, like, I think I hit it twice, like the 20 reps twice before. So, like, it was a confidence builder, but at the same time, it's like, I've only done this twice and I haven't done all this stuff beforehand. So it's like, I don't really know how it's going to go. So that was definitely an obstacle for sure. And then to kind of echo Derek a little bit, I think all the cues and stuff that we've learned over the years, through past certs and just in general, like, yeah, like, naturally we're kind of quick to want to, like, immediately throw something at somebody to fix something. And, not to say it never helps, because obviously it does, but, sometimes through repetition, practice makes perfect, so to speak, they may figure it out on their own. So I think after that cert, I started to shift my mindset to, okay, as long as what they just did was safe, like, if it was a roundabout way of doing it, fine. As long as it was safe, like, okay, like, great. That's ultimately the thing. So it's like, all right, do that next set. Don't say much. See what they do, and maybe they figure it out on their own. Obviously, if it's not safe, then that's when you jump in a little bit earlier. So I think, I think that was a big thing, is kind of, take Phil's idea of let them figure it out on their own, and, jump in earlier if needed. And it's honestly is rare. Most people will figure it out on their own. Unfortunately, I haven't really had many new clients since becoming certified with DV8, just because of the pandemic and everything. But there are certain skills I've taught everybody since, and a lot of it was kind of figured out after 2 or 3 rounds of me really not saying anything, and that was really cool to see.
DeMarco.
Absolutely. Oh, nice. It's my turn. Awesome. Yeah. So again, yeah. So everything everybody said is totally right. Derek's on point, saying it definitely reminded us that being open-minded is really important. Taking a deeper look at some of the movements that, I'll be honest, like, I felt pretty confident going into it, that I, not that I knew everything, but I was definitely like, oh man, I've been doing get-ups and swings for a few years. Like, let's see what we'll learn. And I was blown away, just like I always am, and learned a lot. So that was really good. Clean and push press test was obviously very humbling. I had to find my rhythm and my pace, and I definitely went out the gate too fast. My first couple of tests, and just died. Like Mike said, you can't go too fast. You can't brute force your way through it, because 20 reps is less than 100, but 20 clean and push presses is a lot. That's not, like Sean said, we saw the number and we're like, oh, you can do 100 snatches in 5 minutes, man. It's 20 reps. Get out of here. Give me those bells. Let's go. And then you get to 10 and you're like, oh shit, this is what this is about.
Yeah.
You get to 10, and then the work really starts when you hit 10, and you're like, oh crap, okay. Like Mike says, you're in the rack and you're like, oh boy, this is a real deal. But I guess my biggest obstacle was, luckily I listened to advice from good coaches, Derek and Mike being the ones. Sean and I had just started doing a little bit of sinister training. I wanted to, we had started working with the 40, doing some single arm swings and get-ups, and was feeling good. I initially did not listen to Mike's advice fully. I'm going to admit that. I definitely did. We were doing, I think it was like 3 or 4 days a week of training, and I was doing mostly DV8 stuff, but I definitely was still sneaking in a couple of heavy get-up days and a couple of swing days, and it was all good until like week 2 or 3, and my forearms were just dead. Like they were just like really starting to hurt. I was like, get-ups were hurting. It's just that pressure on the forearm, and I was probably going into the training for DV8 a little too tired, so my clean technique wasn't where it needed to be. So my forearms were just getting beat up, man. I was in pain, and luckily this happened for me on a lighter weight, and I was able to kind of step back and, swallow my pride and deal with it. But I was doing a 24K get up to, warm up and move, and my forearms were just killing me. And it just did not feel good. I was like, all right, I need to listen to Mike. So I set the bell down, and I just told Sean, let's put this stuff on the back burner. Let's focus on DV8. So luckily, didn't get hurt or anything, didn't get injured. I listened to, shout out to Mike Perry. He did the post recently about the strips on the road. I felt that rumble a little bit, backed off, listened to my body before I really screwed something up. And so that was definitely the big focus, I would say, is just keep the goal. You want to focus on one thing at a time, and don't try to do everything, because that's how you get beat up. So.
Right. I think we knew, obviously, that we were going to like back off, so to speak, at some point, because we knew we needed to, but we may have pushed it just a little bit too close.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're kind of riding that high or whatever. So I say this to Jimmy all the time. Like, you flew too close to the sun. That's like my favorite.
Yeah.
Because like that's just kind of how it is sometimes. So.
Yeah.
And then what did we do? We shifted gears and built up. Like, you were crushing the clean and push presses. Like, you at one point were doing, like, I think almost by accident, two sets of 20 clean and push press on your test weight. Like, that happened once, I believe, in a session. Like, we did our 20. That was your first time doing it, and then you did it a second time after that. It's like, I'm like, damn, we'll give you the 28s after this. Like, Jesus.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, it was a whole process. Obviously, you trained me and kept me accountable. And Mike and Derek helped us with a couple little cues where you're like bringing the hands in closer, elbows in closer, and those little things add up, man. Like bringing the stance, changing the stance a little bit, and again on especially that 16 to 20, those reps, like that technique really really matters. So
yeah,
it was definitely a team effort, and I think that's the best part is like we all helped each other. We're like, hey, this worked for me. Try it out, see if it works for you. Mike had to really, really tweak things for himself, obviously because of his hypermobile knee, which is just obviously a testament to you. I don't knock on wood, I don't have that issue or any kind of real major injuries to work with. Yeah.
What? I'm just remembering. Remember, Mike sent me like the first, like a clean and push press, and now I'm realizing the first thing I told him was like, I think you need to turn your feet out a little bit more. And then, like, lo and behold, in the cert, then it's like, oh yeah, focus on the feet. Well, I just wanted to make sure he couldn't make it so he couldn't hyperextend his knee.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's kind of cool I just like realized that.
I remember when we were working on barbell deadlifts, it took so many sessions and so much work to figure those knees out.
Yes, it did.
And like the knees would lead to my like pelvic anterior tilt.
Oh yeah.
And that would lead to like lower back hyperextension, and which would lead to on the lift lower back flexion, and it would just kill me every time, and my lower back used to always hurt. And it was always my knees.
Go figure, yeah.
It's all connected. Yeah.
It's all connected. Has anybody
solving all my lower back pain?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, back pain, low back pain, I think it's like when you do the DV8 start, it really takes a lot of it away.
For sure.
There's no
my back has never felt better, man. And I'm coming back from I came back from an injury, and I feel great.
It's fantastic. Has anybody been barbell deadlifting? Any of you?
I want to, but not yet. I
noticed,
really want to.
So I have like very light, like I'm just working more on volume. I've noticed that start has increased. Like I'm so much better at my wedging in my deadlift now, because it's a behind the heels start, right? Like you can wedge yourself in, and you're comfortable in that tight position. So it's kind of cool.
I can't wait to barbell deadlift with that. I was thinking about that. Where Sean, remember when we were training for the Sinister Challenge, and our deadlift shot up without touching a barbell. Our deadlift shot up like 40 pounds or something for me, without even in a single barbell deadlift, and that was with not fully sitting into the swing as much as we are now with the DV8 method. That was with a little bit of a higher swing. So now, like, especially if you restart every time with the DV8 method, you are wedging every time. You're cranking everything in.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine what the deadlifts would be at if we train like heavy single arm swings with the DV8 style versus
Definitely going up. Yeah.
continuous.
Well, I myself, like you had mentioned earlier, I think before we technically started the episode, that like it's kind of fun to not have anything to necessarily strive for at the moment. Like with like we don't know when the next start's going to be. Unfortunately, obviously at some point, and we're all going to do it, I'm sure. And like DeMarco's going for his sinister, but like I'm not really going for anything at the moment, other than applying what we learned to myself as like the guinea pig, so I can like write up programs and apply it to like my current clients. And it's been cool because I am doing a day of like higher volume, heavy single arm swings with like the 40, and I'm also barbell deadlifting. So I haven't like, obviously the weight's still heavy because it's been a while since, I've had deadlift in there consistently, but I can definitely like feel and see the difference based on, that behind the heel start. And I truly, that for me, that was technique wise, the biggest takeaway from the cert, I guess, is that, because it's such an easy way to try to fix like a high hinge that may lead to lower back issues, where beforehand you can cue it up as much as you want, but like with a pre-swing, sometimes there's no way around it. Whereas like with this, the start is usually, it gets pretty solid. But the set down part, that could be a little bit tricky too, but it teaches the hips good patterns. So it's like to change where the bell is and how that fix everything else is like huge. Like I was blown away by how I never would have thought of that on my own. And then, that's
not in 1,000 years.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, and for the snatches, like Mike was saying earlier, it's like clean up the snatch a little bit. The first 32, double 32 clean I had to do for my, right before my test in front of Phil, like was the best clean I've ever done in my entire life, because it kind of had to be, because it's heavy weight, but because it was behind my heels. And like after I did it, I was like, I knew there were two people in front of me, but I was like looking around, I was like, did anyone just see that? Like that felt fantastic. Like, and it's because like, I'm not saying that, a pre-swing wouldn't have felt good, but like I couldn't believe how like a glove that felt. It was great.
Natural.
Dude, it's like in The Dark Knight Rises when he jumps without the rope, man. No BSing. He did it like the child did.
That's the second time I've heard him make that reference.
Without the rope.
That's great.
So,
it's good. Yeah, the clean, like, and I've been doing jerks, and because you start behind the heels, you're loaded perfectly for a jerk, and obviously for a push press as well.
Yeah.
But it really translates well to like putting weights over your head.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the perfect position.
Clean and press is so smooth.
So smooth.
It's in the right spot every time.
Snatch arc is much better after starting it from behind the heels. Especially Phil told that if you want better arc, a little more farther away from your heels. Like change it every time and then try. I've been trying that, and the arc is like so perfect. Before my head used to protrude out a little. Right now it's exactly aligned, and hand is like right.
You have to be
forming that perfect.
here.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, it solves a lot of issues I've been having the past few years that were like small things that over time add up. Mm-hmm. Like the snatch arc just being too far away.
Oh yeah,
it helps that a ton.
I think it's really cool how kind of full circle this all kind of came. It's I obviously will always love and appreciate what I learned at the Strong First SFG and everything we taught, what we taught our clients and our students. But I feel like all those years of, I'm not going to say doing it wrong, but not doing it as optimally as maybe we could be. And then we learned this new system, kind of a new way of looking at the movements. And I feel like we can definitely appreciate it even more because we remember the banged up wrists from the snatches and the torn up hands. And I remember being nervous to clean in front of anybody because I just didn't feel good doing it. And we took those bells behind. I dropped down a bell size or two, and cleans never felt better. Between that and clean push press test, it's like the cleans they feel solid. So
absolutely.
Yeah, and it's such an important move in kettlebells. It's the hardest move to learn is the clean. And if you have if your setup makes it so it has to be great. Awesome. I mean, and that's what Phil said, right? I wanted to take the roadblocks out. Like I I I have had a few new students on like the third or fourth session. I was able to get him to start snatching perfectly because I started him behind the heels.
That's awesome.
I mean, I wasn't even nervous. Like, I'm sure all of you have had this when you have a student and they're like, oh, they're gonna snatch. Like, how's that gonna look?
Oh yeah.
This time it's like I don't have to say anything, and it just happens.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I'm actually very excited to have like my first like new client. Like again, times are tough, like, and I don't really have the steady flow of like new people coming to me at the moment, but I'm excited to like teach the snatch before the swing, and like how Phil set it up. Like beforehand, I feel like we would have thought that was crazy, just because of everything that could go wrong in a snatch. It's like, all right, well let's nail the swing first, and then other stuff. And before I would always teach a snatch last. Out of those 6 main movements, I always teach a snatch last.
Absolutely.
But it makes perfect sense to teach it before, and then eventually get to the swing, because it's like it just makes the swing that much easier. And to get take the roadblocks out and basically get ahead of having the snatch not be this daunting exercise, especially if you're starting behind you, because it's as direct as you can get, coming like with that arc and everything. And it's like I'm excited to teach someone that once I have that first new student coming in. So
yeah, I love how it goes. Start as close as you can to the body and work your way away.
Yeah.
Versus start away in an arc and try and rein it in.
Yeah.
And that's what led to the banging of the wrist, and that's what led to the ripping of the hands, and that's what led to your shoulders hurt and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
So much.
And I think one thing that I really admired Phil for is obviously DV8 system's very different from Strong First. And there's Maxie making his YouTube debut. What's up, buddy? But I actually really admired Phil for admitting, even when he talked about, I thought this was cool, how he wanted to kind of reframe our thinking, not just let me show you this drill that I learned to fix what's going on with your swing or your snatch or whatever. But I like how at one point during the cert, he even admitted, he said there is a time and a place for a drill. Like it can definitely be used in the right circumstance with the right client, right, the right movement, everything, but how it shouldn't be our immediate fix. There shouldn't be that immediate like kind of Band-Aid fix. So I thought that took a tremendous amount of humility and integrity. He's talking about, we're always talking about team integrity and all that. I thought that was really cool how he admitted that. So he's definitely honoring kind of where we all came from, that RKC Strong First background, but definitely just going Bruce Lee style, baby, taking a system and plucking out the best parts and adapting something even better and make it more solid.
Yep.
Absolutely. I was very humbled by the half wedge get up actually there.
Oh yeah.
Because I pride myself on doing heavy get ups. During that weekend, I couldn't even do the half wedge get up with the 24K.
Oh no.
I was like, whoa, this is interesting. But the fact that it was hard, I mean, the way I see it, and I was talking to Kevin, who did the in-person, that like when something's hard, that there's an opportunity there, right? It's good when things are hard. It's like, oh, I have to relearn something.
Absolutely.
And now that I'm going back to get-ups, my get-ups feel so good after doing half wedge get-ups.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. And it's not that much different, but just that rolling pattern makes a world of difference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right, Max?
Max agrees.
Max?
Everyone I've worked on the DV8 method with, like all my current students, it's nothing but positive reviews.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my back used to always hurt. Like they've had lower back issues for years, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I'm using my legs and not my back every time without fail. Because some of them used to be like, okay, we'll do a few swings and then put it down because eventually they'll start using their back instead of their legs. But now they're using like the legs and the glutes to do a swing or a snatch, or all of them. and it feels so good. And yeah, the get up is just super humbling, and it's hard to figure out, but it makes you use that heel a lot more,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
and that just makes it so much stronger. Like Sean, when we were back doing the sinister training, we changed our get up to, I feel like, look a little more like the DV8 get up.
Out of necessity. Yeah.
No, there's like start here, but the heel, like we definitely moved it more towards where Phil has the heel push because it's just so much stronger and doing like so many reps of heavy get ups.
Yep.
That was where it was best.
That's
Like,
been a game changer for me. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Phil's on to something.
It's like he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, he might know what he's doing. I think we can all agree the coolest moment was when the sword came out. I think the sword moment was pretty badass.
Hope to see more weaponry at different certs, like a mace or what have you. Is that what's the thing with the like the nunchuck looking thing with a spike ball? Is that a mace?
Gata. It's a mace or a gata.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
Show me one of those.
Also exercise tools now.
We have Indian clubs. I mean, those are war clubs. So
Yeah,
we've already used weapons.
Yeah. All right. That's true.
There we go.
Show me more weapons. All I want.
Yeah, whatever. Lightsabers, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to get into, guys.
Sure.
Funny enough, I took my toy lightsabers and used them for some club patterns. It was perfect, man. The way they're loaded and distributed, they're light enough, and they were great.
They like extend when you go out. And,
oh yeah, it's great, man. I'm gonna take a night video at some point when they're lit up and they got the sound effects going. We're gonna have some fun here, man.
You go to a music festival and start doing that.
Yeah, be a good time.
I can see
Burning Man in a year.
Oh man, be fun. Does anybody kind of want to close out with anything? Anything you want to say that you thought about as far as like DV8 or the process or just anything at all?
I'm glad I made the decision to, not that I didn't believe you guys, obviously, but you guys definitely vouching for it made me more apt to want to do it. I'm glad I made the decision to deviate, and I'm excited to learn.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a plug, and I'm glad to learn more. Like, obviously, I never wanted to stop learning by any means, but the fact that this is the first one and there's so much more to learn is just exciting. Barbell. I got to do an Indian club one. Probably another kettlebell, just keep sharpening those skills. It's like, we're just getting started.
Shushma, anything?
Thank you, DeMarco. DeMarco is the one who just told me that we are going to Philadelphia to do this certification. We'd like to do a road trip. Can you please join us? So he just told me about the certification. That's when I went ahead and looked up the certification and stuff. I know we didn't get the road trip, but I'm very happy and grateful that I got to know about the certification and did that. I really learned a lot, especially with the kettlebells, because I just started out last year when Mike called me and said that we have the strong first thing going on. He taught me how to snatch and stuff. But yeah, I'm really happy that I got this opportunity with the DV8 thing.
I'll just say that I love that we got a sleeveless tank, right? We got.
Oh yeah.
Oh, go out, right?
Give me a flex, baby. Give me a front double five. Let's go. Whoa! Put those away, man.
Had there been sleeves there, they would have torn off just now.
Yeah. Boom. The weapons. Mike.
Oh, yeah, I think this has helped my coaching so much. And I was also very impressed with how seamless the virtual one was, because I've never done a virtual certification until now we have to. But it was still so interactive, and still it felt like you're just in a small group with Phil. And he also has a demeanor about him that makes you feel like, even when you're in a big group with him, like you're still just in a small group and you can talk to him about whatever, whenever, and jump in whenever. But he did so well, and I know Pam runs everything behind the scenes, and she popped up there for a minute with that sword to show that drill. But got to give her tons of credit for everything that they do.
Absolutely.
Totally, yeah. Love fan.
Go, Sean.
Yeah, just want to thank you guys for hopping on for this latest edition of Beers and Bells, and hopefully we can get more going with this particular group. As the DV8 starts keep rolling out, because obviously, like I said earlier, basically I'm hooked, so we're gonna keep it rolling. So just want to remind you guys about the 1,000 subscriber challenge. Keep hitting that sub button so we can get those prizes out there. Get you the shirt, sessions, and program. All right, so. Again, we appreciate you guys coming on. I want to thank you guys, and remember to DeMarco,
Train your body, feed your mind. Thank you, guys.